They won't tell you this, not in school, not in college, not in the loud corners of social media where noise is mistaken for wisdom. But if you look at every person who built an empire from dust, every titan of industry, every quiet warrior who rose from obscurity into immortality, they all had it, a secret, a silent rhythm that pulsed beneath their every breath. It wasn't luck, it wasn't charm, it was something far more dangerous, a habit, not a morning routine, not a productivity hack, a fundamental orientation of the soul. Let me tell you, something that most people won't accept. Success doesn't begin when you set goals. It begins the moment you stop lying to yourself about who you are. Napoleon Hill wrote, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." But here's what he didn't say out loud, what he only hinted at in the spaces between the lines. The mind is a battlefield. And most people lose the war before they ever draw their sword, because to conceive of greatness, you must first believe you are worthy of it. And that is the habit the successful live by. They don't hope, they decide, they don't wish. They declare, they don't wait for permission. They become the authority. Look back, Carnegie, an immigrant boy in a one-room shack, did not wait for a system to approve him. He created a system that others would one day study. Ford, who was told by every expert that the automobile was a toy for the rich, ignored the noise and mass-produced a dream. Edison failed thousands of times, but each failure was fuel for the fire that would one day light up the world. These men, they weren't lucky. They were obsessed. Obsessed with one habit, mental domination over circumstance. While the masses are tossed like leaves in the wind of circumstance, the successful develop an iron root of intention. They wake up with direction. They walk through fear like it's made of smoke. They train their mind like a warrior trains his blade, not casually, not occasionally, but daily, relentlessly, with reverence and fire. You see, mediocrity has a routine too. It whispers, "You're fine the way you are." It hands you comfort disguised as kindness. It tells you to hit snooze, to stay safe, to lower your standards just a little. But those who become legends, they reject that voice like poison. They wake up and ask, "What must I conquer in myself today?" That's the habit. Not waking up early, not writing goals in a planner, conquering the self, day after day, decision after decision, in silence, in sweat, in solitude. Because success is not public, it is private. It is earned in the dark, long before the world claps in the light. And this is what separates the average from the unstoppable. They build their world from the inside out. You must master your inner world before you dominate the outer one. That's where the war is won. Not on the stage, but in the mind. Not in applause, but in discipline. Not in the praise of others, but in the quiet conviction of knowing who you are and what you will become. But conviction, that's not something you're born with. It's not gifted. It's forged, like steel. In the furnace, it is pounded into existence under pressure, under heat, under the weight of failure. You don't stumble into clarity. You earn it by wrestling with your doubt, by choosing the harder path when no one's watching. Because here's the truth the weak never want to hear. Discipline is love, not punishment, not sacrifice. It's love for your future self. It's love for the vision buried inside you that refuses to die quietly. And the successful, they fall in love with the work, not the outcome, not the trophy, not the applause, the work, the grind, the daily choice to show up when excuses are easy and quitting is just one thought away. You think greatness comes wrapped in motivation? It doesn't. It comes dressed in exhaustion, in repetition, in thousands of quiet moments when nobody claps, nobody sees, and still, you choose to move forward. There's a fire the world can't give you, and that's the one you need. The one that doesn't flicker when life goes dark. The one that doesn't need a spotlight to burn. Napoleon Hill didn't just write about riches. He wrote about the mindset that magnetizes them. And he knew you are always becoming. Not just in your habits, but in your thoughts, your decisions, your identity. So ask yourself, what are you becoming? Not what are you achieving? Not what are you planning? What are you becoming right now in your soul? The successful, they live by vision, not memory. They do not stare at who they were last year. or last month, or yesterday. They anchor themselves to the future version of themselves. They walk, talk, train, and think like the person they are becoming, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. Because clarity doesn't wait for permission either. It doesn't come from scrolling through quotes or chasing approval. It comes from deciding again and again, this is who I am. This is where I'm going. And nothing will shake that. Lincoln failed in business. He lost elections. He faced betrayal, loss, depression. But his mind was made of granite, not because he never fell, but because he never stayed down. He carried a vision in his heart that was bigger than any single moment of pain. That is clarity. That is purpose. That is the flame that refuses to die. Most people, they drift. They let life dictate their story like a wind-blown page. But the successful, they become the author. They write their own script in ink made of struggle and vision. And every line they write says the same thing. I am not here to survive. I am here to rise. So if you want what few have, you must do what few are willing to do. Disown the excuses. Kill the distractions. Declare war on mediocrity. And wake up every single day like your dream depends on you, because it does. This is not about motivation. This is about becoming undeniable. Not to the world, to yourself. Purpose. It's not found. It's built, brick by brick, choice by choice. Not in a single moment of inspiration, but in the slow burn of becoming. The successful don't wait to feel it. They create it. They understand something most people never grasp. Purpose isn't something that arrives. It's something you activate, and you activate it by deciding that your life will mean something. Not to everyone, not to the world, but to you. Because when you carry purpose inside of you, even your pain becomes fuel. Think about Disney. Before the empire, before the magic, before the name became immortal, he was just a man with rejection letters and a dream. He was told he lacked imagination. He went bankrupt. He was laughed at, but he believed. He walked through every storm with one conviction. There is something in me worth building. And that belief, that sacred fire, is the mark of all great creators. They do not live by reaction. They live by intention. They don't crumble under pressure. They adapt, they pivot, they evolve, they get stronger where others break. Because adaptability is power, not the loud kind, the silent, lethal kind. The kind that says, no matter what happens, I will find a way. When the plans fall apart, when the market shifts, when your friends vanish, when everything you built collapses into dust, the successful don't panic. They pause, they listen, they learn. Then they rebuild better. Because when your identity is built on growth, not comfort, you don't fear failure. You use it. Thomas Edison didn't fear the dark. He studied it. He walked into it hour after hour, failure after failure, until the light broke through. Because the light was always in him. He just needed the world to catch up. And that's the secret. Your breakthrough isn't out there. It's already in you, buried under your excuses, buried under your fears, buried under years of listening to people who didn't see what you were capable of. But now is the time to dig it up, to unearth the fire, to stop treating your potential like a side project and start treating it like a sacred duty. Because the successful don't casually pursue their goals. They live them, they breathe them, they bleed for them. Why? Because they understand one truth, that most never will. You are always building your future, whether you mean to or not. Every decision is a brick, every thought a blueprint, every habit a tool. And you're either building a prison or a palace, but you are building something, so build with intention, build with urgency, build with the knowledge that this life is not a rehearsal, it's the real thing, and you only get one shot at becoming what you were meant to be. That urgency, that intensity, it's not anxiety, it's alignment. It's your soul telling you, you were made for more, and you know it. And when you listen to that voice, when you strip away the noise and return to your truth, you begin to move different. You start acting like you've already won, because in your mind, you have. The body will follow the mind. The world will follow the soul that refuses to kneel. And from that place, gratitude isn't just a feel-good practice. it becomes a weapon, a way to ground yourself while everyone else is drowning in distraction. The successful don't just say thank you, they live it. They move through the day with reverence for the opportunity to grow, to try, to fail, to rise again. Because when you are truly alive, every obstacle becomes sacred. Every failure, a teacher, every challenge, a mirror. And when the world throws chaos in your path, you don't resist it. You meet it. You stand tall, and you say with your actions, "This too is making me stronger." Resilience isn't strength, it's returning. Returning when you've been broken. Returning when the world laughs at you. Returning when nothing makes sense, and everything you believed in is hanging by a thread. The successful, they don't bounce back because they're invincible. They bounce back because they're rooted. Rooted in purpose. Rooted in vision. Rooted in the fire that refuses to go out, no matter how long the night lasts. They've tasted failure. Real failure. The kind that rips your breath away. The kind that leaves you lying on the floor wondering if it was all a mistake. But they get up. They rise. Not because they feel like it, but because they've trained themselves to do it anyway. Because failure isn't the end. It's the forge. It's the hammer that shapes you into something the world has never seen. Ask anyone who built something legendary, and they'll tell you, resilience is not about having thick skin. It's about having a deep why, a reason that is so powerful, so personal, so undeniable that nothing can shake it loose. Every setback, a lesson, every betrayal, a sharpening, every delay, a test. And those who rise, rise because they see everything, even pain, as a part of the path. They are learners, always, relentlessly. They are never too proud to be humbled, never too wise to be taught. Because success, real success, is not static. It's fluid. It evolves. And those who thrive are the ones who stay in motion, always listening, always adapting, always learning. Henry Ford once said, "Anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. And that's the truth. The day you stop learning is the day you start dying. The successful know this. That's why they seek out mentors. Not followers, not fame, mentors. They study those who came before them like sacred texts. They ask questions. They take notes. They get their ego out of the way so their mind can grow. Because you don't rise by being right. You rise by being willing. Willing to change. Willing to listen. Willing to burn the old version of yourself to make room for the new one. And that's the final transformation. Not into someone else, but into the real you. The you beneath the fear. The you beneath the doubt. The you that's been waiting. Not for the world to open a door, but for you to build one. You want to know the secret habit of the successful? Here it is. They build themselves every single day. While others are waiting for signs, they become the sign. While others are waiting for a miracle, they become the miracle. While others look outside for direction, they go inward and pull out something so powerful, the world has no choice but to take notice. Because success isn't an event. It's a decision. A decision to become so relentless, so disciplined, so convicted in your vision that you bend reality around it. And when you live like that, the universe responds. Doors open. People appear, opportunities align, not by chance, but by energy. Because when your inner world is sharp, focused, alive, the outer world has no choice but to rearrange itself to match it. So stop chasing results. Chase the version of you who is capable of those results, because that is the root, that is the work, that is the secret. And yes, it's hard, it's lonely. It demands more of you than you thought you could give. But what you get in return is priceless. You get to look in the mirror one day and say, I built this, I earned this, I became this. And there is no greater feeling than that. So now we come to the threshold, that invisible line most never cross. Not because they can't, but because they don't choose to. And that's what separates the successful from the spectators. It's not talent, it's not connections, it's not luck. It's the decision to cross that line, to step fully, violently, unapologetically into the life they know they were born to create. And when they cross that line, there is no going back. Because the old life, the safe life, the predictable life, the comfortable cage, can no longer contain them. The successful walk away from comfort like it's an insult to their calling. They'd rather sweat in pursuit than rot in safety. They'd rather climb the unknown mountain than sit at the base pretending it doesn't exist. Because deep down, they've already seen what the rest of the world hasn't yet, a glimpse of who they're becoming. And once you see that, once you feel it, you don't negotiate with fear anymore. You don't make deals with your limitations. You rise, you transform, you become a force so fierce, so focused, so immovable that the world begins to move around you. And if you've been waiting for a sign, a spark, a signal from the sky, this is it. Not because the words are magic, but because the fire is already in you. And these words are just the strike. You already know what to do. You already know who you need to become. You already know the battles you've been avoiding, the excuses you've been feeding, the potential you've been betraying. But today is the line. Today is the moment the story changes. Not someday. Now. Not after you're ready. Now. Not when the world believes in you. Now, because you believe in you, and belief, real belief, is the most powerful force on earth. It builds empires. It defeats empires. It rewrites history. It shapes the future. And it starts with you, right now. So take this fire. Hold it tight. Let it consume the part of you that settles. And illuminate the part of you that knows you were meant to lead. Knows you were meant to rise. Knows you were meant to build something eternal from nothing but a vision and the courage to pursue it. The secret habit of the successful? It's not what they do. It's who they are becoming with every action they take. They don't wait to feel ready. They act in spite of fear. They don't chase motivation. They create momentum. They don't shrink when the world gets heavy. They expand, they adapt, they dominate, and so will you, if you choose to, if you kill the hesitation. If you light the match and move, if you stop rehearsing the life you wish you had and start building the one you deserve, this is not the end, it's the beginning. The moment your future self looks back and says, "That was the day I stopped existing and started living." So rise, claim your fire, build your vision, and let the world watch in awe as you become the one they said was impossible. Not someday, now.